There are, I know, 60 trillion cells in the body. In 60 kg body, there are 60 trillion cells. Write down 60 into 10 raised to 12 cells in the body. The average diameter of a cell is 10 microns. Is 10 into 10 raised to minus 6. The specific gravity of the cell is same as that of water, 1. Consider the value of pi as 3.
Value of pi as 3.
The value of pi as 3. Calculate the weight of all the cells of the body. I'll repeat the question. In a 60 kg person, the number of cells is 60 into 10 raised to 12. Specific gravity of each cell is 1. Average diameter of each cell is 10 microns. Consider the value of pi is equal to 3. Calculate the weight of all the cells in the body. Yes. 3 grams. That is the opinion. And anything on a different value? Make sure that you place the decimal in the correct place. kg is the correct answer. 30 kg is the correct answer. That decimal was somewhere here or there. If you consider that you have a 60 kg person, how can the weight of 73 grams and 2 less? 30 kg is the answer. Half the weight of the body is made up of cells. The rest of the weight of the body is made up of fibers and ground substance. Good. Next class, next mathematics. I will start with the introduction of anatomy. The Greek word ana means separate. Ana means separate. Tomy means to cut. The anatomy is traditionally studied in the form of cutting and separating. The word was combined. Actually, what Tomy comes from the Sanskrit word tam, which means to cut. Atam, apple, atma, but which cannot be cut. Anatma is the body which has no atma. feminine body. That's why they were anatomy. The body is very different anatomy. So origination of Sanskrit, I mean, much of the Greek is derived from Sanskrit, much of Latin is derived from Greek, much of English is derived from Latin. So it comes like a full circle. And now anatomy. Dissection, the third way we should study anatomy, in the Latin word, dis means separate, secare means to cut. Cut and separate. Actually, anatomy and dissection mean the same thing in different languages. Now we use anatomy as a broader term, and dissection, this is a component of anatomy. Every other component of anatomy is also needs to be studied. Not only with the structure of body parts, the relationship of body parts with each other is also anatomy. Unlike physiology, when there are very abstract theories, there is concrete. What you can see, you relate. It's concrete. Body parts can be seen, felt, and examined closely. And like biochemistry, it is not necessary to imagine what they would look like. Cysts, trans, and all those things. You can see that. You can like, this is how it could be. There is something which is a fact. That's it. This is what you see, what you do. Besides the anatomy we spoke about, cut and separate, dissection, what is called as gross anatomy, or macroscopic anatomy. This macroscopic anatomy can be studied in the form of regions from the bone, head, neck, thorax. You can also study the form of system, cardiovascular system, nervous system, muscular system. Beside these two divisions, cadaver, the word cadaver is a dead body. It comes from the Latin word cadere, C-A-D-E-R-E, which means dead. It should be studied in the form either regionally or systemically. Neuroanatomy is also studied from cadaver only, and that's a special subdivision of anatomy. Neuroanatomy is that part of anatomy which is closest related to mathematics. And there are people who have come here, PCB, BCM, people have left M and come here. And now they don't have to bring it back. Neuroanatomy is something which is either a challenge for some people or a dreadful thing for them. So they say, neuroanatomy. So, neuroanatomy. Then you can see under a microscope, the microscopic anatomy. Under the microscope you can study cell, which is called as cytology. You can study tissues, which is called histology. Histo means tissue. Or you can study organ, which is called as phlebotomy. S-P-L-A-N-C-H-N-O. Splanchnology. Splanchno is a Greek word whose Latin translation is viscera, whose English translation is organ. So, cytology, histology, splanchnology. three subdivisions of microscopic anatomy. Development of anatomy, the changes in the anatomy which occurs right from fertilization, not just up to birth, changes occur even after birth, up to all the way up to death. So, development of anatomy describes the changes which occur from womb to tomb. Some people use the word embryology, but embryology describes from fertilization to birth. Changes which occur after birth doesn't come in embryology. There is a specialized branch called as neonatology. That means pertaining to babies up to 28 days. Pediatrics up to 12 years of age. Then adult diseases, and then geriatrics, old age. Genetics is the study of genes, chromosomes, nucleus, DNA, RNA, all those. Before you operate and trying to see what is inside, you must know where to operate. Then you should take the birth decision. Where is that organ which you are considering projected on the surface? So that pertaining to organs on the surface projection is called as surface area. Formerly, as you said, anatomy could be studied only the dead body, cut and separate. Nowadays there are various imaging techniques where you can study interior of the organs in a living process. That we call as living anatomy. In living anatomy is very done or inspection, palpation, percussion, auscultation. It is called as bedside anatomy. Or if you see it as a, if you see the images inside the wall, then it's called as radiology. Radiology. When CT scans came, computerized tomography, tomo means to cut. You could study cut section. So you see only cut section, and in dissection you never see cut section. You are cutting and separating. You see the whole organ, and you start seeing cut section. So cut section became a specialized subdivision of anatomy. That's called a sectional anatomy. So you can correlate the images which are seen in the CT scan are in the lab. That's called sectional anatomy. Applied anatomy. Applied anatomy is the application of knowledge of anatomy to dealing with its function or whatever can be done in a bedside patient or whatever can be done during surgery. So applied anatomy is subdivided into functional anatomy, clinical anatomy, or surgical anatomy. Functional anatomy is physiology. Clinical anatomy, CLI and clean means bed, BED bed. So what you see on the bedside patient and the knowledge of anatomy that you utilize is called as clinical anatomy. Better knowledge of anatomy is required to approach an organ through surgery. It's called as surgical. All are applications of knowledge of anatomy. human body is very similar to a rat body. Rat body is similar to a cockroach body. Cockroach body is very similar to earthworms. So human beings are slightly modified earthworms. Fine, slightly. I'm not gone further into human beings are slightly modified amoeba. Specifically using the word earthworm. So when you go into that analogy, an amoeba can take any shape, can take any size. What if I say the whole body of mine is a single cell giant amoeba? Amoeba can throw its pseudopodia and walk. Amoeba can move the medium around it. Amoeba has got some. Amoeba can detect light. Probably sound also we don't know. What will be the problem if the amoeba grows as big as us? What is the problem of amoeba not growing as big as us? Amoeba, if you know, has got the size of only around 10 microns. Yes, no. The reason is that the nourishment to amoeba comes from the surface. And you consider spherical amoeba, which has a surface area of X and diameter of D. When the diameter doubles, the surface area increases 4 times. The diameter becomes 10 times. The surface area increases 100 times. Remember, surface area increases 100 times, volume increases 1000 times. So that 100 times extra surface area is insufficient to have nourishment of 1000 times. So it's a 10 micron amoeba, surface area is small, volume is also small. So insufficient. As it regards this, its volume, the surface area increases, but volume increases to the power of 3. Surface area increases to the power of 2. So that's why amoeba cannot be large. In fact, the blue whale, largest animal in the entire kingdom of India, its single cell is 10 microns. The nerve cell is small, but each cell cannot be more than 10 to 20 microns. There are some cells that are as small as 6 microns, and some are rather 14 to 60 microns, maybe 20 microns, and rarely the cell may be 30 microns. Pretty rare. Except the ovum, which is 140 microns. Largest cell in the human world in terms of diameter. And neuron is also on the higher side, 30 microns also. So they have a problem with their nourishment, ovum and neuron. So what happens is, surrounding the ovum, there are satellite cells. That's ovum. Surrounding the neuron, there are satellite cells. And surrounding the ovum, there are follicular cells. These follicular cells, the satellite cells, inject nourishment into the cell, so the cell can survive. Without those supporting satellite cells and follicular cells, those cells cannot match with their nutritional requirement based on only the increased ability. Contrasting, if bone is the largest cell in diameter, spermatozoa is the smallest cell in diameter, 2 to 4 microns. Even the small lymphocyte is 6 microns. RBC is 7 microns. Platelets can be matching with that, but platelets are not cells. They are distinctly part of a larger cell. Spermatozoa and ova, the smallest and the largest cell, peculiarly are not made in the same body. In the nutritional requirement of a muscle cell, especially in the muscle called sartorial, single cell can be as long as 40 centimeters long. 40 centimeters, 400 millimeters, 400,000 microns. How can the nourishment by such a large cell be maintained? The muscle is elongated, but the cross-section area is thin. So it's a long cell, larger surface area. Those are elongation. So diffusion can occur. It's not only the preparation of the protein from the nucleus. Muscle cells are multinucleated. So having multiple nuclei, the protein requirement can be sufficiently met, and the surface area is long because of elongated nature. Surface area is also sufficient. So if a cell wants to elongate, it can elongate as much as it wants. In fact, a single neuron starting from the tip of the great toe, all the second toe, whichever is longest, from there it goes to the back of the heel, then it goes to the back of the leg, back of the thigh, curves into the spinal cord, and then goes all the way to middle of abdomen. Single cell. A single cell neuron can be taller than what you are. If you start to tip of the toe, goes all the way along the sole. Plus curving is going here and there, goes all the way to middle of abdomen, nearly inside the sky. Very long cell. If you measure your own height, then you will be longer than you. So then, as I said, it's slender neuron. So the diffusion from its size is sufficient. And its nucleus is highly active because it has to produce the protein requirement of the whole neuron. So most of the neurons are very active nucleus. Another cell which has got very active nucleus is the hepatocyte. Liver cell has to metabolize, has to store, and a lot of other things. This nucleus is highly active. At times, hepatocyte is binucleated to take care of some of the extra protein. How did the hepatocyte become binucleated? The nucleus has divided, following the cell should also divide, but the cell did not divide. Only nucleus divided and the other cell occurred there. So that cell will have two nucleus. Having two nucleus in the hepatocyte is normal. Normally there are nucleus, but two nucleus is okay. It is normal. So if you want to compare lower animals and compare it with humans, that is called as comparative. So talk about why amoeba cannot be as large. And why did I choose the word we have slightly modified earthworms? An earthworm has one mouth at one end energy and direct. We can also modify ourselves. We can't change the inner position much. We can change the position of the mouth. Some of all the movements, they are not required for survival, right? That's what does not have survival. So I said, yeah, thank you very much. Where to? Why not downward? Why not practical things? I may choose earthwork. The nutritional requirement of the earthwork is from its GI tract. And the GI tract is coextensive from the mouth to inner organ. As the animal becomes larger and larger, volume becomes triply large. The surface area of the GI tract becomes only doubly large. So you realize that the length of the GI tract is not sufficient to be the length of the body. They are so much larger than that of the body. So what happened is the body wall and the GI tract get separated by a space called a coelom. And within the coelom, the GI tract can be twisted any number of times to increase its surface area. So we have a small intestine, the main absorptive part of the GI tract, which is 6 meters long. We are 6 feet tall and 6 meters long. We are 6 feet in height and 6 meters long. If you are 5 feet in height, around 5 meters long. Pygmies will have slightly lesser. Europeans will have slightly better. So I thought, let me study what is the length of small intestine in Indians, average height. And the studies have been done in European studies have been done in African. Nobody has studied in India. Different studies have shown the length of the small intestine is 4.5 meters. Some say 5 meters. Other books have mentioned 6 meters, all the way up to 6.5 meters. So what is the correct answer? That book summarizes it all. The length of the small intestine is directly proportional to the enthusiasm with which you stretch it while visually. Drop the idea of stretching. How much will you stretch? Stretch it more, length is more. So, silo was first developed in annelids. So there is either pseudo-silo or no silo at all. Although annelids do not require a silo because its GI tract is coextensive with the body wall, so it's a potential for the animal to enlarge by having a silo so that intestines will coil with it and increase the surface area as much as you desire it to. And measurements of different parts of the body, skull, bone, etc., to find out racial differences. Calculating various indices. This comes under the field called a physical anthropology. So measuring different parts of the body, the ratio of the sizes this is the scope of the anatomy, not just the first part. Okay? Cell, the structure is the functional unit of life. That's how we define. And we really don't know what life is. The only single common property of all life is irritability. Irritated to show some reaction. So that way even still water in a lake, if you drop a pebble on it, it shows irritability. That's not growing in life. A snowball also has life. Because as it comes down the hill, the snowball increases in size. It's growing. If movement is life, then plants do not have life. And air is life. Wind is life. So otherwise we don't understand. And we don't define life. We understand what life is. So here we have in the lower part you see a single cell, sweetly shaped. Group of cells with tissues, group of tissues with organ, group of organs with organ system, and group of organ system with organ. In the contrast, along with non-living things, quarks make up of protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons together make up the nucleus, surrounded by electrons filling the resident atom, and group of atoms making molecules or chemicals. Somehow magically, chemicals coming together because of cell. The only chemical within the cell which is actually living is the DNA. The only one is capable of self-replication. Everything else is decided by the DNA. So DNA is something known as the God of the cell. God, generator, operator and destroyer. DNA, developer, nurturer and annihilator. Now they have found out that quarks which become a proton, they are also made up of subparticles. That's not going to further it. Earlier it was believed the atom does not break. Now it was, in 1945 it was thought atoms can break. When it breaks, it releases a large amount of energy enough to destroy a whole city. Atom. Now when they found out that nucleus can also be broken down. Nucleus is even larger than the nuclear bomb, which can destroy a whole country. And imagine, you can break down protons. How much energy will be proton bomb? It can destroy a whole planet. And imagine, you can break down quarks and then if you really want to understand life versus non-life, you can use a chemical term called entropy. Entropy is a wasteful energy. If you see a building today, 100 years later you will find that nobody is living there, maintaining it, it will become ruins. And the building just healing after some years it crumbles and becomes ruins. Have you ever seen ruins like that? Suddenly it has magically become a building? Not possible. Why? You require to spend more energy into it. Only then it can be a constructive creation. Destruction is whatever. And increasing entropy. Life is the same, where there is negative entropy. For one cell, magically become two cells and organized and become a human being. With automatically from nothingness, you are creating something. That is life. Because immediately after death, and that body starts jiggling. Have you ever I have been thinking. Some MCQs. Okay.
45.
And these are some MCQs. Father of surgery. Which surgery in ancient India was called father of surgery? Anybody? Shushruta is the correct answer. Charaka is the father of medicine. That's why on the Dean's Address Day, we will be having a Charak summit, Charak talk. Because we are using medicine. Ashwini Kumar are the physicians of God. Dharmatri is the goddess of Ayurveda. He is a famous Greek physician who is also called as the father of medicine. So what is Charaka to Indians is Hippocrates to Greeks. Aristotle and Plato were philosophers. Herophilus is the father of ancient anatomy. No. Father of ancient. Hippocrates is the oak. It will take up to everything. Charaka is the oak everything before you start. Father of ancient anatomy was Herophilus, who is the father of modern anatomy. Leonardo da Vinci did a lot of things pertaining to anatomy. He was a sculptor, painter, a lot of other things. One who described anatomy closest to modern anatomy is Andres Vesalius. He is called the father of modern anatomy. He and Leonardo da Vinci were of the same era, 15th, 16th century. Leonardo da Vinci did a bit of anatomy. Andres Vesalius did much better. Claudius Gallus was a person who wrote the first book of anatomy. At that time, the common language spoken at that time was Latin. So most of the anatomy was in Latin. So written in 100 AD. As I said, Andres Vesalius, 15th, 16th century. So for Claudius Gallus words were a law. If you challenge Gallus, he will be beheaded. Because he has written this book, the wonderful structure of the human body, created by God. Because he wrote the wonderful structure of the human body created by God. The Romans at that time were rulers of the world. So they liked Gallus. He's praising God. If he will challenge Gallus, he will be beheaded. For 1400 years, according to the dark ages of anatomy, but nobody would challenge. Still, Andres Vesalius came and said, what Gallus described is different. Maybe that was true 1400 years ago. The modern anatomy is like this. And you know, he used to keep the dead body, he used to dissect dead body and keep the dead body under his bed. And there was something accident dissecting, his head will be under his bed. So sealing dead bodies of the jaw, because much of what Galen described was based on the dissection of the pigs and the extrapolated pig anatomy to human anatomy. 50% of what Galen wrote was correct. The problem is nobody knows which 50%. Anthony Van Leeuwenhoek is the discoverer of the modern microscope. You already know what anatomical position is, but let us find out whether you really know anatomical position. We have a MCQ test your knowledge. In anatomical position of person is, and he said that you all know what is the most comfortable position of the body? Lying back. That's where the body is maximum comfort. Lying on the back. This is a tougher question. In anatomical position, when you are standing straight, what is the angle between the two feet? Recto, heel, other recto. How is the angle? 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree. Charlie something like 180 degree. So that's what anatomical position. So how is the angle between the two feet when you are standing in anatomical position? The correct answer is 0 degrees. The two feet have to be parallel to each other, touching each other. So that the recto is most linear, the intro is most natural. As the little out of this, is good. Little high. In anatomical position, how should we visit? Relatively simple. Although this is an artificial position, most of the times the palms are not forward, most of the time palms are inwards. When you walk or stand. Anatomical position is an artificial position should create and find, not challenge. That is what is defining anatomical position. In anatomical position, eye focuses and the distance off. 25 centimeters 1 meter, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, or 6 meters in your eye. Eye should focus at how much distance? Eye should focus at infinity. To an ophthalmologist, infinity is 6 meters and beyond. So when you get your eye tested, the object is placed 6 meters away from you, and you are asked to read. But who can afford 6 meters in South Mumbai? So what they do is, they buy a 3-meter hall, and you are sitting in one end of the hall. The object is placed above your head, and there is a mirror in front of you, and you are reading the thing from the mirror. Inside the mirror, there is another 3 meters away from you, and 6 meters. Actually, you may know physics better. If a person is a 1 meter long hall, and there is 6 meters above, so they reflect and turn reflect. They are also intro. That's too much physics. These are 36. The eye should open, and the 6 or 6 meters or more is equal to infinity. This is a tougher question. This is the toughest of them all. In anatomical position, the position of the upper and lower lips and the upper and lower teeth. Lips touch and teeth touch. Teeth touch, lips touch. Lips touch, teeth slightly separated. Lips slightly separated, teeth touch. Always lips slightly separated and teeth are also slightly separated. Lips touch and teeth separated. Lips touch and teeth slightly separated is the correct answer. Good. How separated? Slightly, how slightly. An ordinary button that you have, button of the shirt, it's a between the teeth. Try to bite. Upper button is a compressible. Anything that's slightly separated. Backward separated is a slightly separated. The width of a button. And I'm talking about the ordinary button, not fanciful button which have different things there. Ordinary button. That is the separation with the lips to touch. Is it clear? Nobody asks you this. When somebody asks you, you should know exactly. You sat there, you should already study the previous time playing their access. And they will the terms and